Going to go to the video again, and a question from Paula Bandeira from the American School in Rio, and it's on domestic policy.
From 11th grade from Escola Americana do Rio de Janeiro. Senators, you both state that you oppose gay marriage and yet support equal rights for gay couples, including adoption of children. What really is the difference?
I think I understood it. Could you say it specifically?
You both oppose gay marriage, yet you support equal rights for gay couples, including adoption of children. What really is the difference?
That's a very interesting question, and this is one that actually has a lot of nuances to it on both sides. Both candidates oppose gay marriage in the United States, and both candidates have said that they want the issue to be left to the states. Both candidates oppose a federal constitutional amendment to prohibit marriage, and either candidate has taken different positions on some of the state initiatives, but neither candidate has campaigned on them anywhere. I think that what you're seeing is less a reflection on the candidates. I think that John McCain and Barack Obama are really following the country rather than leading the country on this issue. The United States is making a lot of progress on this. And a lot of us actually in the Republican Party, and I'm sure, I know many in the Democratic Party, are happy that this issue is moving forward. What I think is significant about the McCain side is that you have a candidate, the first Republican nominee in history, who has actually given a very extensive interview to the U.S.'s largest gay publication and gone into great detail about how he is different from the Republican Party on this issue. I think that that says a lot about where the United States is going, and I actually applaud it.
Well, Steve, gay rights, gay marriage, what's the difference? Is this a word game?
Well, it may be a semantical game to be sure, but we're talking about the positions of the two candidates. So let me stick to the position of Senator Obama. Senator Obama's positions are clear on the issue. He has worked to expand hate crime statutes. He has proposed co-sponsored legislation, to expand federal hate crime legislation to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender individuals throughout the United States, fighting workplace discrimination and promoting rights in the workplace. He supports full civil unions, and this was an issue that also came up in the last debate, full civil unions and federal rights for gay citizens. Especially, there's a whole panoply of laws and regulations that interfere with gay couples' rights to visitation in hospitals, access to insurance, a whole variety of things, and he's in favor of establishing legislation that will wipe away all those differences between married couples and those who seek civil unions or those who cohabit. He clearly opposes a constitutional amendment against same-sex marriage, would like to repeal the don't ask, don't tell policy that the Clinton administration had put into place. As John McCain's predecessor in the Senate, Barry Goldwater, said, I don't care if they are straight as long as they can shoot straight. He also agrees that we have to put more money into the battle on AIDS worldwide.
Again, just to say, I think it's a good sign that there's a lot of agreement. One thing I would add is that Senator McCain has also called for a national AIDS strategy in the United States, which we have never had, which is kind of astounding after 25 years. Brazil actually has had a national AIDS strategy for 10 years. It's celebrating its 10th year anniversary, and the United States, which is giving billions of dollars to countries all around the world, requiring them to have national AIDS strategies to receive that money, has never had one itself. And I'm proud that John McCain has been the first Republican or Democratic presidential candidate nominee to call for a national AIDS strategy in the United States, with a national AIDS director that has real power and real authority, real budget authority, and real accountability. And I think that that's a great step forward. I'm sure that it's something that Senator Obama, should he be elected, would support.
Okay. Let's move on. We have a question now from Alice Sobral and Eduardo Louro from the American School in Rio.
Hi, I'm Alice Sobral.
And I'm Eduardo Louro.
And we're both from class of 2010 at Escola Americana, Rio de Janeiro.
And we would like to ask Senator Obama, what immediate action can be taken to impact the environment positively but not affect the economy negatively?
And Senator McCain, how will you coordinate with Sarah Palin not being convinced that global warming causes pollution and affects the environment?
Well, there's any number of things that you can do. The first thing, we can go all the way back, when many people may not know this. When Ronald Reagan came into office on January the 20th, 1981, the very first executive order that he signed was to remove the solar panels that Jimmy Carter had installed on the roof of the White House. Now, I don't know what particular good that served. It seemed to me to be almost a personal gesture against the idea of the kinds of things that Jimmy Carter had talked about really 30 years ago, almost to the day, where he talked about the need for us to focus on conservation. Everybody can conserve. This is nothing new that we've all heard about. We've heard about a lot more in recent years. Things that we can, little things you can do in everyday life, whether it's turning off lights, whether it's, everybody likes to keep their cell phone recharger plugged into the wall, whether or not they're actually recharging a cell phone. And it seems like such a little thing, but you unplug all of those millions of rechargers from the wall and you're consuming less power. And you can go down lists and lists of things that you can do just in the area of conservation. Now, we all hear about these things, but whether or not you actually have an administration that is actually actively promoting it, working to harness, as Teddy Roosevelt called it, the bully pulpit, to put out the information on a constant and daily level that this is a call to commitment that we all have to make. This is something we can do to change the environment right away without having any negative impacts on the economy. The other things that you can do, my time's going to run out, is you need to invest in what has been termed an Apollo energy project. And just like John Kennedy announced in 1961 that we would go to the moon and establish that goal, and a public-private partnership was formed between academia, private industry, and the government to make that goal happen, we need a new commitment with an Apollo energy type project where we're going to harness the same resources, the same partnerships to achieve the goal of energy independence, of developing new green technologies and getting us to a better future for the world.
To answer the question that was directed to me, actually there is a sizable minority of Americans and others around the world, including economists and environmentalists, who disagree on the scale of the impact that human behavior has on the current projections of global warming. That said, John McCain is running for president, and John McCain will be the president should he be elected. And his policy is quite simple. We need to install a cap-and-trade system to reduce emissions by serious and significant amounts. Yes, talking about changing light bulbs and stuff like that is I guess it is important, but that is not going to have a fundamental change. It's not going to have a fundamental impact on the projections on global warming the way that massive and drastic reductions of emissions will. And it is important that we consider economic growth, particularly considering what we're going through right now economically as a world and as a country, that these things be done very sensitively, and that we make targets not be arbitrary, that we not just sit around and say 80% do or die, when that could mean millions and millions of people will be thrown into poverty. John McCain believes it can be done.